Hey everybody, Shawn Holsinger here from HolsingersFlyShop.com. Bringing you another time video today. Today I'm going to bring you a minnow pattern. It's a Clouser Minnow. I've tied this one before, but I just wanted to refresh the video. Some of my older videos I've told you I wanted to redo again, and this was one of them. It's a really popular one, and another reason I'm tying it right now, it's summertime and it's smallmouth season. So this is a very, very popular smallmouth fly created by Bob Clouser, a Pennsylvania guy from down on the Susquehanna who does a ton of smallmouth fishing. But they say this fly has probably caught more species of fish than any other fly because it just works for everything from, you know, bonefish to whatever, saltwater, freshwater. It's probably been caught on a Clouser Minnow. So anyhow, I'm going to refresh this video again, like I said, and simplify it, try to make it easy and quick for you so you can pick up how to do it, and hope you learned something from it. Let's get into tying it. Here's the fly in the vise, and then the material list on how to tie it. Okay, here you see the fly in the vise. Let's get into tying it. Just a standard Clouser is all we're going to tie here today, and I'm just going to freshen it up and give you a better view of how I'd like to tie it. So let's start out by putting the hook in the vise. For a hook, we are using an 811 size 6 from Firehole. This is a barbless hook. I like to tie everything on barbless. If you watch my video channel, you'll see that a lot. That I try to tie on barbless as often as I can. For thread, I'm using Gel Spun Thread, some GSP in white, and we're just going to start it on the hook here and wrap it up here by the eye. Now, when I use Gel Spun Thread, I like to use my older scissors, and I'll cut it as close down into the bottom of the scissors as I can, and don't ruin the tips on them because this is pretty tough stuff. So we're just going to get the thread started on here. I'm going to go about a third of the way back. That's important because that's where we want our eyes. For eyes, we're using dumbbell eyes. I'm going to get one out of my bag here. And the dumbbell eyes I'm using are real eyes from Spirit River. They're 3/16 nickel red. You can use whatever color you like. Don't get real picky on this. And what I like to do is just start it on there and then do some figure eights, and I just wrap it on, you know, just keep making wraps, just different directions. I'll go around the eyes a lot, and once I get it built up pretty good to secure it, what I like to do is take a little bit of super glue. I'll spin the hook upside down in my vise. I'll take some super glue, and I'm running low on this tube here. There we go. And I'll just put it right below those eyes on the bottom side. And then I'm just going to run my thread through it. And, you know, just work that glue into my thread wraps. And that'll help glue this down as it hardens. And help it stay in place. And plus, you know, that will go up around the top a little bit too. So now that I got this glued down, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring our thread up here by the eye. Now we're going to use some bucktail. And the two colors I'm going to use is Chartreuse and white. This is a really popular color for smallmouth, so that's what I'm tying right now. I'm going to tie one for smallmouth. The part of the bucktail that I'm going to use is up here towards the top where it's the longer, they're longer, straighter hairs, and they just make a lot nicer. They do a lot nicer than the hollow ones down at the bottom, the thicker hollow ones down at the bottom. So I'm going to take and cut a clump of these off, and not a huge clump. It's one that you just have to get a feel for. Here you can see it's not huge, but I'm going to take the bases, I'm going to pull the tips and pull out all the short fibers out of the bottom end of it, out of the butts. Okay, so I'm thinning it down. What I want to do then is I want to measure about twice the length of the hook. So I want this to go a hook length back. Okay, once I see where I want it to be, I'm going to switch fingers and I'm going to cut this off right here so it's right where at the back of the eye. So now that I know where I need to cut it, I'm going to just trim it off, and I'm going to keep all of this in my fingers just like this. Pinch down here. We're going to put it over the eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle it down towards that eye, and at like a 45 down towards that eye. And I'm going to make a couple loose wraps to start. And then as I go down towards that eye, I'm just going to tighten it up so that rounds up a nice head here. And then I'm just going to go back over it and tighten her down. Okay, now I got this tied down, and you see your hair shoots right up off those eyes. That's where we want it for right now. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do after we get this is we're going to pull this back over the eye. Okay, and I'm going to come underneath my eye. I'm going to bring my thread under the eye and over top of this. And I'm just going to spread out my wraps. And I'm going to wrap this back to where the barb would be. Okay, and I wrapped pretty loose on there. I didn't pull it down real tight. This gel spun thread, if you pull real tight, it'll cinch it and it's not going to break on you. So once I got it back to the back, now I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to make a nice tighter wrap on it. And I'm just going to spread out my wraps like I said. It's just going to give you a nice body there. And then we're just going to come back under the eyes and back under up here to the eye again. Now, this is where having a rotary vise comes in handy. It's real nice and easy to do this on the rotary vise. I just flip it upside down and I'm going to work from the bottom side. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a couple pieces of tinsel. For the tinsel on this fly, I'm going to use some gold because it'll go real well with the Chartreuse bucktail. So I'm going to take about 4 or 5 pieces, double it in half, and then I'm going to stick them back off the end, and I want it to be about the same length as my bucktail hanging off back there. Once I get that figured out, I'm just going to sit that on top. I'm going to tie this down on what is now the top, but there we go. Because it's going to actually be the top, because your dumbbell eyes will cause this hook to ride the way it's sitting in the vise right now. So then we're going to trim them off and cover them up nice. Now I'm going to take about half of those fibers and strip them down over to one side of the hook. So I have half on one side, half on the other. Now the last thing we're going to do, last material we're going to add, is a little bit of Chartreuse bucktail. Same thing, we're going to use from up here towards the tip of the tail. Going to use those nice long fibers. And I don't know, like half a pencil width probably is about what I'm using. Just going to go in there, trim off a patch of it. And then same thing, we're going to take our patch, grab it by the tips, and we're going to pull out these short fibers back here on the end at the butt section. Then we're going to lay this up against our white. We're going to measure it out so it's the same length. Then I'm going to switch fingers so I see where I need to cut it, and I want to cut it so it goes right at that eye here, okay? Stops right at the eye, so we're just going to trim that off. Okay, now I'm going to pinch these down tight here. And same thing, I'm going to sit these down at like a 45 right on top. I'm going to make a loose wrap and continue to wrap it tighter as I get up towards that eye. And that gives you that nice cone head shape. And then we are going to split this in half. Try to get half the bucktail on one side of the hook and half on the other, just like that. Now we're just going to finish up this head. We're going to smooth this out nice. Make a couple wraps here. Once I got that chartreuse covered up where I like it with this white thread, I'm just going to whip finish it off. Okay, once we're whip finished is done, then to protect it, because this is a fly that's going to get beat up, you're going to bounce it off the bottom, catch fish with teeth, you know, so to finish it up, I'm just going to give it a little bit of bone dry, Solares bone dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect these fibers down here. So I'm going to put some on it, bring it up over the eyes here, and then cover that head up nice and good. So I'm protecting this head with the bone dry, and also protecting this section here, my wraps back here. So wrap that down. You can use Sally Hansen, whatever you know, whatever you like to use for your finish. And for me, I like my bone dry, so I'm just going to hit it with the light. And that is all that's to this simple Clouser fly, Clouser Minnow. So give it a try, guys. It's easy to tie. Okay, I hope you like that fly. Like I said, I'm just trying to update things and make it new and nice and make it better for you so it's easier to view. So I hope you enjoyed my videos. If you do, please take the time, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. You know, and if you have the time and you like to listen to podcasts, go over and listen to our Bugs and Beard podcast at bugsandbeardpodcast.com. And guys, if you need any of the material to tie this fly or anything else, you can find it at our website at holsingersflyshop.com. And until next time, tight lines, and I'm Shawn Holsinger.